Good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be another interesting grant session, talking about the latest Business Boost grants overview. This is a grant funding application that will be opening up on this Friday. So I'm going to go through this session, firstly with a PowerPoint presentation, and then I'll navigate through the website to show you all the various parts of where to apply. And during the course of the session today, feel free to pop up and ask me any questions. So I'm just seeing if there's any. Can we all hear me quite well? I just want to good. Yes, so that's fine. There will be opportunity for Q&A. So we're going to get straight into it right now. Okay. So let me just, all right, just wait for all these little other bits and pieces to get off my screen. Okay, so why are we applying for the Business Boost grant? Now, this application, the preview came out mid-July, and there's been a spate of funding opportunities that have come out post-COVID-19, and this particular funding came out as a result of a media release that came out. So they were looking at 3 tiers of funding that were released by the Minister, and that was to provide opportunities through the Business Basics grant, which was a $5,000 grant that was subscribed within 3 hours of being released. But that one was quite different because it was just a $5,000 upfront initial payment. This one is a little bit more, has a lot more aspects to it that isn't as easy to apply for, say, than the recent Business Basics grant. However, there is $15,000 available, and it's ex-GST, and it is there to support your business to advance in improvements in your business. So this is a good time. I mean, a lot of people have suffered through COVID, and income will have dropped. And talking to some business owners that I know, they've had a drop from the previous year to the so the 2020 financial year to the 21 financial year in particular. So where there has been a drop of income, this is a time where you could potentially use your funds in these funds into trying to improve your business processes, planning, implementing automated or specialist software, or to look at some type of staff management development and planning to, obviously this is always to try and help improve employment prospects within Queensland. Most of these programs are always aimed at some type of job creation capability, and to create jobs, obviously they want to create more business opportunity, to create more turnover, to be able to create those jobs. So for you as a business owner, it's to help solve a problem or a barrier to growth, and to boost your turnover, growth, skills, resilient employment and survivability. You may have received an email with this new grant opportunity and you'd like to know how to be more competitive, or in many cases, a lot of people that I've dealt with have never applied for a grant before and just need some extra information and just to feel comfortable with the process, because having done quite a few grants over the years, I've been involved in assisting probably in the grants space for at least 23 years. And prior to that, I was in the federal government for in the Department of Employment Training Small Business. So, and that was in the federal government. So I've been on all sides of the government sides. So one being in the department, one being on the other side as a go-between, working in Regional Development Australia in its earlier incarnation, and following that, working assisting small businesses as well as non-profits to apply for funding. So each one has their own different little aspect to it when it comes to grants. So it's nothing to be intimidated by. There's always a lot of grants coming out all the time, and the only way I always look at it, it's never a case of if, it's when. If you just keep being persistent and you just keep applying, then there's always the opportunities coming up. And also, I always tell every business owner when I'm talking to them, or community group for that matter, that that it's never a case of if, it's when. If you continue and you persist, regardless of what you're trying to achieve, we always look to try to get a positive outcome. So, and if at first you don't succeed, always ask for feedback and never be afraid to ask for that feedback, because that's quite vital information. So I'm pretty much going to only quote, and I can't quote anything other than what's in the departmental information. And this, so this is going from what's in the guidelines. However, I've cherry-picked what the most important parts are of this program, and just to help you understand a little bit more about what this funding is about. So the grant funding is 7,500 ex-GST to 15,000 ex-GST. So what that means is that they will give you between 7,500 to 15,000, but on top of that, you have to put in an extra 30% on top of that. And they will give that to you after you've completed the project and you've paid for the services or the software or whatever it is that you are applying for. So there is an expectation that you will run the program project that you have said that you're going to run. And at the end of that, when you've paid for the items as per what you've stated in your application, then they will then, after you've submitted your report, will provide you with the funding. And this is how I read the documentation. So you have to have shown that you have made payments. The other funding that has happened in the adaptation grant round and the business basics have all been upfront payments. This one, and I've read it from front to back, it's based on payments being made by the business, and then funding will be provided after the end of the project. Applications will open at 9 AM this Friday on the 30th of July. So what that means is when you get to the screen, and I'll show you what it will likely look like once we complete with this presentation. So when I start navigating through the website and show you where to go. The applications will close once the department receives its quota of suitable applications. So if I'm not sure whether you've applied for a grant before through the state government portal or through in the recent rounds through the adaptation grants or business basics, but they put a tracker there that shows you how many applications are submitted, how much percentage of allocation is being applied for. So this will have a tracker applied to it. So there is no, I haven't seen a close date. It'll be once the applications, once it's received its quota. So it is competitive assessments. So it's as good as you can write the application, and it fulfills the objectives of the program that you're applying for. So again, it will not pay for activities before entering into a funding agreement. So it's not retrospective. So if you've paid for the activity in the past, it will not pay for items that you've already paid for. However, it's for projects that start within 1 month after you've received an approval letter, and it has to be completed within 6 to 12 months of receiving that approval letter. So some applications, like when we had the adaptation grants, they were able to sort of have some retrospectivity to it, meaning like if you had some bills that you needed to pay for and things like that. With the business basics, it was for activities, new activities, and for this one, it's for, again, a lot of funding programs will not pay retrospective. So if you've had something that you have paid for, they will not pay for that. So it has to be a Queensland headquartered based business. And this one is quite tricky. I had a discussion with a business owner this morning, business turnover between 300,000 and 600,000 in this last financial year. So what they're asking you to do in this is to provide a statutory declaration. And some businesses have dropped in income, and so it's basically the business turnover of that year. And I did get asked a tricky question around the difference. It is about what your gross income is, and whether you're using the accrual or the cash basis system. That was something that I couldn't quite answer to that, but that might be something you might ask the department just to be sure. Does it if it requires that? Because sometimes people, if you run an accrual system, you may have income that you may not have received. So that's something that still probably requires some clarification, because I was only asked that about half an hour ago. Active ABN and registered for GST. Naturally, once you apply in the Smarty Grant system, it connects into the ABN system, so it will see if you have got your ABN registration in any case. None of the directors insolvent or undischarged bankrupts, must have fewer than 20 employees at the time of applying for the grant, and have a publicly reachable web presence. So you must have a website or some social media pages so that they can see that you are in existence. So the priority activities, the eligible activities, are all around things like future planning. So it could be for an advisor to provide some strategic business planning for innovation or growth, implementing a governance board to guide strategic planning. So if you're looking to go the next step and you're looking to get an advisory board, exporting opportunities and requirements for the future. So if there's anything internally that you need to do, compliance with industry regulations and standards. So that could likely be some type of quality system and some audit type process. So it's just about future planning. So there are some consultants that you may know who can provide you with that specialist assistance that you're needing to do in order to grow to that next level, to expand your market. For specialised and automated software, again, there's quite a number of things that you can apply here. And it's the design and implementation of management systems. So here we go, data warehouses, asset management, CRM, customer relationship management systems, quality and compliance management, risk management, production systems, project management systems. So and also in that specialised and automated software, bespoke or complex website design and build, including e-commerce software integration and booking systems. So there's quite a lot that you can to take advantage of here for your business to try and help it to grow to the next level. And cybersecurity tools, as we're getting a lot more attacks, and particularly internally, where people have got, they're increasing requirements on businesses to have higher level cybersecurity. There might be some additional software that you may need to acquire, or some programming. So anything innovative technology that improves or diversifies service offerings. So, and then we come to staff management, development and planning. So human resource management, skills building, professional development and training, and digital workplace plans and systems for a remote workforce. So all of these things are eligible activities. What won't be funded, again, anything that involves cryptocurrencies, barter or in-kind services, your standard operating business costs, so whatever you're paying for already, like accounting and bookkeeping, real estate fees, goods, service, or from a related party, so from family members, travel, franchise fees, purchase of stock, GST registration and fees, maintenance of existing digital technologies. So when they mean maintenance, so it's not like you're maintaining a current system, or like, for example, and even where it says website hosting, things like that, it will not pay for that, but it will pay for new technologies or new systems. but it won't pay for the hardware, it won't pay for the computers, and other fees and salaries, fleet vehicles, or ad campaigns. It won't pay for things like that. So responding to the grant questions, as with any program, read the guidelines. Most important, when the opening date is, when the closing date is. In this case, it doesn't specifically define what the closing date is. It states that it will be when it is, fully, when they've met their quota. It was quite amazing with the Business Basics grant. We had 3,000 applications within 3 hours of it opening way back in the end of May, 31st of May. And it was quite miraculous. 3,000 applications were submitted within the system. This application not being quite as easy to apply for, I'm not certain that we're going to have as much speed in delivery of the quota closing off as quickly. However, one never knows how many businesses meet this criteria and can obtain the quotes and prepare the application within the time. So it is a fairly easy application to write, in the sense that you don't need to go to an accountant. All you need to have is 1 or 2 quotes for the activities that you're wanting to apply for, and for the eligible items that are stated within the guidelines, and a statutory declaration to state that your income is within that 300,000 to 600,000 turnover limitation. So when they're talking about the limits provided, they're talking about a total project cost. So I'll show you the calculator when we get to the main screen. So for example, if it's a $7,500 project, then there would be a 30% on top of that. That's where they're saying total project cost minimum of 10,715. So that's your 70% cost. So that's your 7,500 plus the 30% on top, which is your total project cost. That's the minimum grant project total cost, is what they're looking at as a minimum. But I will run you through that when we get to the website. Think about how you're going to deliver on the objectives of the program and what actions or items that will be needed to deliver this. So when you're writing the application form, the questions aren't quite, you don't have to write 10,000 words to explain your situation. They're only looking for 300 words per criteria. So it's not a very arduous application. I'm quite experienced in writing applications where, they were like an inch thick, and, you'd have to write thousands of words and lots of attachments. But this is fairly simple for an application to write. So it's just a matter of being on target with what the messages are that you're putting in your application form, being factual about that information, and what it is you're trying to achieve by the project funds that you're asking for. So remember, you're applying for funds for a project that will achieve an outcome. And at the end of the day, sometimes they may come back to you and ask if you're happy to be a case study. And for them, it's always a good thing for you to promote your business as well, where you may have had some success within your business. And it's a very good way to get engaged with the government department, because in the future, if you subscribe to the department for future funding, there may be other opportunities down the road that might help you as you continue to grow your business. So again, preparation in the application process. The application, the project needs to be able to meet the objectives of the program. There's frequently asked questions already in the website, and I'll show you that. And you can download the sample application already, and I'll show you where to find that. And start preparing the application as soon as possible. So again, and there's a Smarty Grants login if you've already applied for Smarty Grants through the Smarty Grants. Now, with Smarty Grants, each different government department, so local councils use it. It's a platform that different councils use and governments use for people to apply for funding through whatever grant that they have. So with the Smarty grants, they will have a login link where you can log in and register. If you've already had a grant through this department before, you may already be registered, but on the moment they open up on the 9 a.m. Apply time on the 30th of July, there will be a link there, and you can then, it's a very quick process to create a registration for Smarty grants. And something about the Smarty grants login as well, if you're going to put an email address there, have it so that it's one that works. I remember one client used an email address that wasn't able to be used and was having some difficulties, and so this was one of the issues. So even if it's a Gmail account or anything, as long as it's something that you know you're going to get an email straight away, because you have to confirm that you're the applicant. So there's a registration confirmation, as they do with most when you're registering for most types of things. So here we look at the statutory declaration. So this is a form. So they're not asking you to go to your accountant. They're not asking for anything other than for you to make a declaration as the business owner, that you have an expected turnover between 300 and 600,000 in this last financial year, because it's too early after the end of the financial year. So if you're within that range, that's you declaring that. Now, in terms of the department, you're making an oath. So if they audit you, these are the things that may come up later when it comes to the acquittal. I'm not 100% certain of that. However, anything to do with the frequently asked questions, we're going into that now. There is a link also on the website, and we'll go through that. So a couple of the key questions that came up: why was it only open to businesses with a turnover of between 300 and 600,000? I'll get to the Q&A soon. It was a decision because they had a 3-tier system. So the business basics went from $0 to $300,000 turnover, and business boost was for 300 to 600,000, and then for the other is the business growth fund. So there's another one. If you're over that amount, there's a business growth fund. That one is currently closed because you had to put in an expression of interest for business growth, and through the mentoring for growth process, they've gone through and done most of the interviews, and whether there'll be another round of that coming in the near future, I don't have any information on that from my sources in any case. But this was part of what came out in the media release between the 300 and the 600,000. Sole traders or partnerships eligible, yes, provided they meet the criteria. And this one here would excite quite a lot of people in the non-profit space. As non-for-profit organisations, they sneakily put this in here because it doesn't sort of stand out, but in the frequently asked questions it came up. And it does categorically state that yes, non-for-profit organisations are eligible to apply if the business meets the eligibility criteria of the grant. So this may be useful for people in that space. Definitely would be useful, particularly if that's an area. So that you're from, or you know people who are in the non-profit space who could do with this, and who are counted as employees of the business. So when they talk about the 20 count, this includes all full-time, part-time and casual employees. However, business owners, directors and contractors are excluded from this head count tally. So you might have 23 people, but that might include the business owners and contractors who are not employees. So this only involves who are employees at this time. So can you apply if you've already received a small business grant in the past? Yes. So they're saying that's fine. and no more than 2 supplier quotes. So basically, you're only allowed 2 suppliers. So 1 quote per supplier, and you don't need to have like 2 comparative quotes. So if you've got, you know what you want, so you've gone to your supplier and said, okay, I want to get some automation software for this that's specialised for me in this particular industry, and then I want to get a consultant to come in and do some strategic planning. So that could involve, say, for example, a $12,000 quote from one supplier and the remainder from another supplier. You don't need to have 2 quotes per item. So if you have the software, you know what you want, you don't need to get 2 quotes for the software. That's what it's trying to say. So they only will allow 2 suppliers to make up the total amount of the project cost for the 2 different activities or whatever it is, but you don't need to get 2 comparative quotes. So like in the old days when we used to do a lot of, used to have to sort of put in 3 quotes if it was over a certain amount of funding for certain programs, on programs I'd applied for in previous years. But in this particular one, you only just need 1 quote for the activity that you're applying for. And if you're having 2 activities, then 2 quotes if they're 2 different suppliers. But if it's 1 supplier providing all the activities, then you just need 1 quote. And so that information can also be found at the website. So to be prepared, and this was, everyone was having a mad rush trying to find a JP, but this would be something advisable to get done sooner rather than later, is to download the stat deck that's on the website and complete it and have it signed off so that you're ready to upload it when you're ready to submit your application. The application sample is just a sample. So when the portal opens up, it will look like that because that's what it's saying. It's a sample application. So you just have your answers ready and then just start populating the fields within that application form when the portal opens up. So we're just talking about how to be ready. So I'm just seeing some Q&A come up, so I may as well. Can we have 2 supplier quotes for different parts of the project, plus include a cost of the software? If the software is coming from the same supplier, so if you're getting it via the software, otherwise I would be, if the software is something that's a downloadable thing and it's got a quote attached that you can download, that I would put that quote in, and then if the other one is the person, unless they're going to be doing the whole lot and implementing it, putting it all in for you. So does that make sense? I'm not quite, yeah. So in that particular one with your 2 supplier quotes for different parts of the project, if the supplier, so if you're working with an IT specialist, they may either build that into the cost with them, or you may have to get the software separately. So I would download what the quote of that. Sometimes they give you the options on the website if it's an automated system, and just download that as the quote, and then the other one being, or if you can get one from the supplier. So yeah, if the supplier can provide the software as part of the whole project, would save a lot of messing around. And the stat deck is in the website, which I'll show you shortly. So, okay. So we've talked about that, being prepared. Okay. Now there's a regional grant, so I'm here, just make sure yes, so have the stat deck completed, be ready, yes, ready, set, go. So now, I'm not sure if any of you are in the regional areas, so if you are, I'm happy to talk to you outside of this, but the adaptation grant funding, which is a lot easier to apply for, if you're outside the southeast Queensland, so you've got to be outside Scenic Rim and Toowoomba, you have to be outside of those areas. But if you're anywhere like far north Queensland, further out west, Stanthorpe and further, there is still some adaptation grant funding for businesses that have been affected through the COVID and have an annual turnover of more than 75,000. So there's still a little bit of funding there that is still available, and I can show you that quickly if anyone is interested. Otherwise, we can have one-on-one if you're wanting me to go through that more intensively, because that's another subject altogether. So again, there is some opportunity to book with me through the ASBAS website and for the one-hour consultation. So you can, and I can go through your application and try and guide you as best as I possibly can for yours individually. If you're wanting to book out, I do have some time slots available between now and I will make Saturday available as well. So it's just a matter of going through the ASBAS portal. So we are, if you, up until the 31st, so would probably be the best time. ASBAS as a program is transitioning to another program in August. There aren't that many spaces available for this one-on-one session in the new program, but they are still going to allow some if need be for next week. But if you really want to get some help within the next couple of days, now would be the time if you do want to book a one-on-one session, because this program is officially closing on the 31st of July and transitioning to another program, which is only going to be $44 for, I think, around 7 hours of delivery of lots of different aspects to that program. However, under this one, without trying to confuse you too much, probably the easiest thing, if you can try and book in before up to the 31st of July, would probably work out best if you wanted to have some help on any of these funding applications. So now I'm going to progress to the, I'll go to the website for starters. So as you can see here, we've got the Business Boost grant. So if you're going in and you just put in Business Boost, grant program. Okay, now when you go to queensland.gov.au. So go straight into that, and that takes you to where we've just gone there. Okay. So this is where we talk about, so we talked about where's the statutory declaration sample. It is here. All right. So this is where you would go in and you would download it. And so then that just downloads this application, and you can download that, fill in your details, print it off, and then go and take it to your JP. Okay, so it's a very simple process, and you can just type in your details and just start filling that in, and then I'll just move this here, and then you can just download this and save it, and then you've got and then you can just print it out on your computer, but insert your information there. What I would do though is to take this information out, because the JP will probably, they'll know what to put there, because you don't know when you're going to go and get that done. So so that would be how I would just fill in this part here, and then when you go see your JP, everything's pre-written here, and then all you have to do is go to where you can find who the witnesses you can find. So there's a list here of where you can find who can witness this application for you. So any JP, Commissioner for Declarations, whatever they say on here, you can go and get this witnessed by. So I'm just going back there to where we started from. So we talked about the eligible funding. So we talk about a grant payment of $15,000 and a co-contribution of $30,000. So where we talked here, the minimum of $10,715, which is your $7,500, which they will give you post-project grant funding, and the maximum they'll give you is $15,000 if you are successful in having your funding application approved. So what you can say here, so if the maximum project, so if it's 15,000, the maximum project cost, so if you're getting all the software and everything totals up to say 21,000. So let's say you got $21,000 quote, then your contribution would need to be 6,300, and the grant funding after the project's completed is 14,700. They will give you after. So that you can, this is the little calculator that they've put together. So if it's a $15,000 project, you're paying for it all up front, but you'll get 10,500 back. And this is all ex GST. So just always remember excluding GST. They're very particular about that. They won't give you GST with the application, with the funding. So this is where we talked about, this is everything that I've said here. So again, it's all here. So what the eligible project activities are. So that's your specialised and automated software, future planning, so that could be for consultants to assist, software, and again, digital systems plans for workforce. Ineligible, again, we've covered off on that, and this is all here that you can check through, and you can download these as well. So detailed eligibility, so again, there's some checks that you can do to find out. So the detailed application process is an online application, as discussed, that has a turnover between 300 and 600,000 per year, well, in the last year. So we're talking from the 20 to 21 financial year, no more than 2. So that's what they're asking for. They don't want 10 quotes because there's only provision for 2 in the application form. So that's where we get into that one. So following closure of the round, we'll run a competitive assessment process, and then you'll get a letter saying whether you were successful or not. And once you've received the letter saying you're successful, they will send you the funding agreement, and then you sign off on that, and then you must complete the project within 12 months of receiving your approval letter. So then you submit a, okay, let's just go through these questions. So time frame for approvals, well, this is good. Good question. The last application, so let me just go through that. Can you share a link of where to book? Oh, yes, I will do that. Okay. I think it's on this. Yeah. I'll just put that there. And type answer. Okay. Okay, so I've sent that one. Now, time frame for approvals. I'll give you an example here. Now, I'm going to switch over here. So what you'll see here with every grant funding, there's a schedule. So we have the Business Boost grants. Okay, so it opens on the 30th of July until funds are exhausted. Business Basics grant. Now, if I show you this one was closed. This is the tracker. So this is what will appear once it opens. 100%. Now it opened on Monday, 9 AM on the 31st of May, and it closed at 12:39. 3,000 applications were submitted. Now, to my knowledge, there has not been any, there's been quite a few people I know who have applied. Nobody has heard as yet. So that closed on the 31st of May. We're now at the end of July. So it's been 2 months, and that's quite a lot of applications for them to go through. So when we're asking about how long it's going to take, very good question. However, with this adaptation grant, for example, so Southeast Queensland, so we were talking about regional Queensland business. So if you are not in one of these areas, so this is regarded as Southeast Queensland. If you're outside of that, you can apply. So what will happen when you're going to apply? So these are still accepting applications. So on the day Business Boost opens, you'll see this little red apply button pop up at 9 a.m, which they're saying that's what's going to happen. You'll see that that'll start navigating you through the process of where to go to the going to apply for the funding. So so where we go into here, this is where we okay, so we're going into Business Boost grants. This one here, now the question was, what was the question? Time frame for approvals. Answer is I don't know. And this particular one, as I said, with the Business Basics grant, it's still 2 months, and it could be usually somewhere between 2 to 3 months. We just don't know. I've seen applications get turned around. So, for example, with the adaptation grant, because it's with a different department, I've seen some get approved within a couple of days. So if you're in one of those regional areas, that's very quick. However, if you're in another area, then it might be, you know, if we're looking through the Business Boost, which has got a volume of applications coming through all at once, and it's new, this could take some time. So they have to go through, and we don't know whether it's going to take longer because they still haven't completed with the Business Basics assessment process. So we've got the application guidelines. So this is what I've downloaded them all. So this is where we've gone through. It's all on the website. The tracker's there that shows you minimum, maximum, the numbers. And these are some examples. So for future planning, so this one could be to get a report done by a specialist consultant. This could be for example, a real-time inventory system to speed up operations to meet delivery. So they've given a couple of examples there. Again, it's about whether it's to get a consultant or to get some systems in place. And everything I've said there, what it won't fund is all in the application. Frequently asked questions. These are all downloadable from the website. So again, you can go into here and again, you just download all these forms and it'll tell you everything you need to know. And these are updated. So this this is the most updated version here. And again, so we're talking about can you submit in person? No, it has to go through the Smarty Grants portal. You can't have a third party put it in on your behalf like an accountant. Is there a fee? No. And you have to put all your documentation in at the same time. You can't post something in later or the stat deck. It has to all get uploaded into the system. So quotes and everything all have to get submitted all at the same time. Okay. Does the business need to be registered for GST? Yes. Can I apply if my business doesn't have a turnover for the 2021 financial year? To be eligible, you must have that between 300 and 600,000 turnover. And again, yes, non-profit organisations can apply, which is a real exciting thing. Now, this one director eligibility. So if you're a director on one company and a director on another company, you can only have, if you have one small business with a different ABN for each council So we're going to go into that one. So again, if you're in a non-profit and it has presidents or chairs of the association, they can apply as the applicant. Business boost, 20 employees, we've covered that. Yes, so here's this one here. Only one application will be accepted from a financial beneficiary of a business. So if you have 3 companies and they're all eligible, you can only apply for one if you're a director on each, well, if you're a shareholder, part owner of each of those businesses. So you can only apply for one of the businesses. Headquarter, so they have to say that Queensland is the principal place of business. And if you have moved up here from interstate recently, then you need just something from an accountant confirming that the business has changed to Queensland main business location. So when we talk about web presence, so they are assuming when they go through the assessment process, they're going to look to see whether you've got a current website and if you've got some social media pages for your business. And here we talked about 1 quote per supplier. You do not need to upload comparative quotes, so that we've covered off on that. And they've supplied a template, and you just have to have that signed and declared. And again, they will give you up to 15,000 excluding GST if your application is approved. Okay, now this is you'll get a letter of approval, but they don't say when. Grants are treated as assessable income for tax purposes, so it will be regarded as income for your business. And again, it will close when they've received enough applicants that they can do a competitive assessment. And once the grant portal has closed, it's closed. So there will be that grant application tracker. So when I showed you that tracker before on the Business Basics grant before, that one there had a tracker on it, and that is what's going to appear. So when it says the grant is now closed, that's how it'll appear when it's closed. Where am I? Okay. What do I do if you receive? Yeah, so you'll enter into a funding agreement. Now, variations, sometimes it happens, and this happens quite a lot when people get approved for funding. And you may need to sometimes considered as a variation. So you might apply to a supplier and midstream you might change your supplier. So if you need to vary it, you just need to contact the department and ask them what to do. And you can request an appeal if something doesn't go right. So there is a hotline that you can talk to them as well through the department, and that's all in the frequently asked questions. So I just noticed there was another Q&A. Me personally, I think the goalposts on this one, in terms of do I think that the yes, I'm seeing this question here about, am I anticipating, just let me do that. All funds will be allocated on the first day's business boost like it did with basics. Personally, a lot of the businesses I've been talking to, there's a lot of them either are too high income or they were business basic eligible, which were less than 300,000 a year. So it's a fairly narrow 300,000 to 600,000 turnover. So again, that would be something, if you have dropped in income, in the previous year to that year, and it has dropped, and you're in that 300 to 600 range. Yeah. Again, personally, I don't think it'll be as rushed as what the business basics was, because the goalposts are a little bit higher. However, I never say never, so I always think it's always better to be prepared. One would only know the minute that the applications open up on the 30th of June, and if you start looking at the tracker and it's moving quickly, then you really need to move quickly to get your application in. The interesting thing here, it doesn't tell you how many applications they're going to put as the limit. So where with the business basics, it said 3,000, we didn't know, nobody knows how many applications they're going to be accepting. So this is going to be, this is one of the unknowns. So there's a lot of factors in a department. Sometimes it can take 6 weeks to find out an answer. You might take 3 months to get an answer. And in terms of the amount of people that are going to, you know, what the limit is, it going to be 500 applications that they're going to consider, or is it going to be 1,000? It's not telling us here in any of the information that I'm finding here as what they deem as the, you know, as that. So yeah, very hard to answer. The quickest thing to do, best thing to do is to be prepared. So at least if you can, in the meantime, try and get your quotes for what you need, and to be ready for the 9 AM 30th of July start date. That is probably a very wise thing to do, just in case, because it all depends on the limit. So when we looked at this one here, 3,000, but they might say we're only going to accept 1,000, and so that might narrow. That might mean that there's a lot more people eligible, and yeah. Does that answer your question? Because yes, it's one of the unknowns, and it again, it's one of those horrid situations, because you can't pre-plan, because it's all very much rushed. But I think the appeal from this one, being that they pay at the end rather than at the beginning, business basics, again, you had to be less than 300,000 turnover, and it was an upfront initial payment, and so and a lot of people got mobilised and got their stat decks, and they had the pre-launch information that was available, like we've had this time, so that people could be prepared. So again, the two key things that you'll need to be best prepared will be to have your supplier quotes ASAP, and your statutory declaration signed off. And if you've got those two things, then the minute it opens up, and if you can try and have these ready where you've got the answers ready for the questions. So what I'll do quickly now is just go through this application form. It's all very simple. Once you have got into Smarty Grants portal, now the other one I showed you before was not Smarty Grants portal, but when we go into here, sometimes once you see the little red button, like we saw here with the adaption one here, you'll see a red button appear. And once that red button appears, it'll take you through to the Smarty Grants portal. So once you go in there, then it'll have on the inside where you click on apply to that funding application, and this is what you will get, this Business Boost Round 1 application. So it'll look exactly like this once you open it up, but this will be live sitting inside the Smarty Grants portal. So this is just saved as a PDF just so you can see what's in there. And so you've read the guidelines, and you're confirming that all of this you have fewer than 20 employees. So everything we've talked about, it's all consistent. So you have a web presence, so you can show that you've got a business. You confirm that, and you're confirming these things, and you upload the statutory declaration. So that's where that needs to be put in. And then you start to fill in your business name. You put in your ABN, it'll automatically pre-populate that. And then you put in your headquarters is yes, if it's on the ABR record. So if you need to get a copy of an ASIC, if you've got a copy of that to show that your business has changed, if you don't. So it's asking to upload evidence that your business's main location is in Queensland. So if you say yes, again, I don't know if it's going to ask you to provide anything further, because it will probably put all that information up here. But again, if you've got a statement that says what your address is, then you can just upload something with that, because it automatically pre-fills all this information. And then you just put in your address details. The email address should be one that you are accessible on, as well as your phone number, and the web presence, so your website. And if it's only a social media site and you're looking to get more of an advanced site, I've known plenty of businesses in the hospitality trade who run quite successful businesses just on an Instagram and a Facebook. So if you've got a URL, put that in. But if you've got a website, it's that's good too. Well, that's the best one to have. Business contact details should be somebody who's accessible, and again, ANZIC code. There is a search you can do, so you can link here into ABS. Here, you just click on that link, and it'll take you through to what your business is. So if you're in a restaurant, it'll give you what your ASIC code, ANZIC code is. So that might be 4511. So you would put that, that's how you find your ANZIC code. Where was I? Getting back here. So again, it's a fairly straightforward application. How long you've been operating, again, 0 to 19. It has to have less than 20 employees, and that, and then the products or services. And so again, 100 words, you don't need to write a lot. And again, there's a lot of tick and flick. A title should just be a short, whatever it is that it is. It could just be a systems upgrade, you know, one of the things that relate to what's in the program eligibility criteria. So it could be an asset management system or a complex website design with e-commerce and integration. It could be just something as simple as that. So again, if you need any help with just overviewing any of these, I'm happy to do that through a one-on-one at a later stage. But again, it's quite simple, nothing to be afraid of. You just have to upload or provide the supplier name and the quote, no more than 25 words. So they're not asking for war and peace, they're just asking for short amounts of information. And the main thing is, must be a formal quote on a business letterhead. So you asked about the supplier attachment, where possible, or a shopping cart printout. So you mentioned about the website, like if you're buying software. So if it was a shopping cart printout for the software, that may well do. And other ones should be on a formal quote on a business letterhead. So there you go. So the answers are all what you can't find out of the guidelines, terms and conditions. Again, the acquittal report, it's about the financial. I always read all the attachments I read for every application I ever apply for or assist anyone. whatever they've put on that website, I go through each one because they're all important. So the stat deck is the one you're going to need to upload. Terms and conditions, when you sign off, these are the conditions what you're signing to. So they need to provide that to you. So you need to complete, it's all in the guidelines, but this just reinforces that as part of the terms and conditions. This is your application form, and this is what you would be submitting. Now, yeah, so there is a part for supplier attachments, so there must be a spot in there in order to upload that information. So, sorry, I think I've gone over a lot of my questions. So is there any other questions that anybody has at this time? Okay, so another question, if you're applying for a business coach for upfront and payment is required upfront for coaching, well, you would have to pay upfront for the service, but when the project is ended, it seems like that reading the guidelines, you would not get those funds until under. So if you can come to an arrangement with your coach where you can come to, you know, even pay them off in installments, they invoice you and they give you a receipt for the 6 months. This is a question again. Yeah. Feel free to also, if you, yeah, as I said, if you're wanting to book for a one-on-one and get more specific one-on-one information, please feel free to reach out. Okay, so I think we're all done for today. Is any questions? I can hang around for another 5-10 minutes if anyone wants to just start going through the Q&A, and I'll try and answer as much as I can. Okay, so do you complete the application in one go? So on this particular question, the application you get, you can get save as you go along. So when you see the Smarty Grants portal, at the bottom of the page, it will have save. So hopefully you don't have to, normally you can save and then go back to the application. My experience with Smarty Grants is that you can go in and out. So you can just save your progress and then go back into it. So that that's what normally happens. There's only been 1 or 2 volunteer grants, I think, that I've applied for, and you have to start and finish it all in a hurry. So, okay. Oh, yes, I've answered that one. About how long it's going to take, allocated on the first day, I don't know the answer to that. Does your turnover include your JobKeeper paid that financial year? It talks about your business turnover, so whatever the gross turnover is. Anything you're unsure about, there is this number that you can call this Small Business Hotline, or you can email this Boost just to get clarification, because they might update the frequently asked questions. But normally, if you're going to be putting in a tax return for your company or your business, and that includes JobKeeper as part of what was paid into the company as income, you know, we are talking about the taxable income or your turnover for the business. So that may be something you may wish to ask for clarification on. But yeah, that's a technical question I would go back to the department with, and they might update these frequently asked questions. Yeah, so yeah, so I opened that one. How detailed does the supplier quote need to be? I would, so long as it says what it says. So where you've got on the guidelines here, so where we've gone into, I would just have it as close to whatever it says. So answering live. So where it goes in here and says what is eligible, keep it within the wording of whatever these items are that they're saying that they're eligible for. So if it's a complex website design, then it would just incorporate these sort of things and booking systems, and for that would X amount. It should have some certain amount of itemization, but if it's got something to do with hosting and other things like that, just remember that according to any existing will not fund certain things. So just make sure it does not sort of cross over maintaining existing systems or ad spend or you know, those sort of website hosting. So yeah, let me come back to this question here. Okay, so where was the question? Sorry, I'm trying to find my here we go. Okay, so are we happy with that supplier? The supplier quote should have a little bit of detail, but it should reflect what's in what will be approved and how it will do that. And there are some examples, so how it's going to meet that. So if there's a consultant, they should be able to just elaborate a little bit more on that in relation to your industry and your business. Okay, is there any other questions? Oh yeah, yeah, we've done that one. Okay, alrighty. So I think we've pretty much answered everything. Is everything answered? Oh, I'll get that link. It's on my thing here. I'll just give me 1 minute and I'll put the link here. And it's through this chat. I'll put my link here. Where are we? Oh, didn't go in there. Oh, it should be in there. Did you get that one? Hang on. Let's see here. Okay, so if you go to businessstation.com.au, look for me, and I'm just wondering why this is not copied across. So I'm just trying to copy this here. Let's try it again one more time. Okay, good. It worked this time. Oh, it did work before. There you go. So if you just copy that and put it into your URL, you should be able to find me. So you just have to go through, well, if you're already here, so you're already registered in the system, so you should be able to get in to find and just book. Yeah, so you're all here, so I guess it's just booking in through the Business Station website, and that's how you can get in to catch up. I hope that's been, oh yes, I'll just see if there is any, oh, there's a couple more questions. Should you rego with Smarty Grants ahead of time? They haven't prepared the link, so just in terms of that Smarty Grants, at the moment with the Business Boost, they haven't opened it up. I do remember they opened up a link at midnight the night before for the Business Basics grant. So I'm just trying to see where that link is, whether they've done it here. But again, just remember, oh yes, okay, that's fine. The link to the recording, I will find out. Somebody within Business Station will be sending it out to all of you. So I think you should get all that information. Yes. Okay. Well, I think we're all done for today. So thank you very much for your participation, and hope that's been helpful to you. And again, if you need to book in, book in quick because there aren't too many spaces. Oh, what have we got here? One more chat. I'm just saying, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your taking your time out today and great. All right. So I'll close off now. And if you need any further information, try to book in. I'll just see if there's any more questions. Try to book online. So if you go in through Business Station, let me have a look. You'd have to, I think, yeah, I have to go and log in. Let me see. Okay, let's try and do this one. Okay, so if you book an advisor, so you can just go in and just book for an advisor. I think I might be under one of these. If you just go online phone, and then they have a list of them there. You might just have to look for me. Yeah, so I'm in here, and so you can just book an online phone there. So I am fine that way. The system's a little bit, yeah, so that's through the client portal. So if you just search for my name, or you can actually search, yeah, so that would probably, I think I'm in this using small business software. You'll find me in there anyway. I know that for sure. All right. I hope that helps you. Okay. So did you, so I've gone, did you find that? I hope you have. No more questions before we sign off. All done. Questions are all answered. Thank you very much for your participation. And I will close the session now. So if you want to book, yeah, just go through Book an Advisor and just go through and just put Alice Langford in there, and you'll find me, and just wherever there's spaces, take a space. And have a lovely rest of day, and have fun going through the business boost. As I said, the presentation will be recorded, and I'll find out how we can get that out to everybody. Thank you very much. And I'll end. Yeah, thank you.